afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live at 4 on this Thursday. Charlotte DeLeste Day is here. 2 more days. 2 more days until Mark comes back.
Eric officially has the crud, as we like to call it around here.
So I hope he's feeling better. But thank you for your help. I really appreciate it. And Mark will be back on Christmas Eve. Here's what's making news this Thursday. There will be no criminal charges stemming from the gas explosion in Sun Prairie.
There is again a renewed possibility of a government shutdown after the president says funding for the wall has to be included in any agreement.
And there is a change in the starting quarterback for the Badger football team in next week's bowl game. Sports Director Jay Wilson will be here with that news, and a little later this hour we'll share our conversation with Madison radio legend Pat O'Neill. He's a very humble guy. He probably wouldn't like me describing him that way, but he really is. He's leaving Madison after 35 years on the air.
That's unbelievable. Tomorrow's his last day, right?
Tomorrow is his last day, tomorrow morning, so we'll have that coming up in just a little bit. Let's take a look outside today. It was cloudy and continued mild, but I mean, I guess technically you could probably put that back in the water. A little colder weekend are the weather words, and the bride is on the weather patio. Dana Fulton, the newlywed, welcome back.
Yes, thank you. It's so great to be back. I love vacationing and traveling, but to be back at work and back in your comfort spot, it's nice definitely to return. Again, some water may have melted just a little bit today. It's temps this afternoon. We're well above freezing. Our official high about 10 degrees above freezing for us this afternoon. Looking at our Doppler track right now, overall fairly calm. We have a little bit of rain moving up into northern Illinois. May start to get closer to Janesville and into parts of Rock County here fairly soon, over towards Platteville right now. It looks like we're picking up a little moisture. Whether or not those light flurries are actually hitting the ground, that's a question mark for you guys in the Platteville area, but nothing that is going to accumulate or be any messy situations for us tonight with travel. Overall in Dane County, things are looking okay. Temps in the 30s, 38 in Madison. I did not need the winter coat when I walked out here just a few minutes ago. The breeze, though, coming from the north-northwest. Right now, it's about 3 miles per hour in Madison and 9 in Janesville. It is going to be a little breezy overnight, and then heading into tomorrow, we are expecting quite a gusty Friday. We could see some stronger wind gusts coming through for us on Friday. Over the next few hours, our temps are going to slowly drop overnight, but we're not in for a too chilly of an evening. Just that cloud deck overhead. Temps won't drop too much, close to the mid to upper 20s for us overnight. Heading into tomorrow, plan on temps being a little colder. Still cloudy outside, but we'll be in the mid 30s rather than the low 40s for our afternoon highs. Speaking of traffic right now, roadways actually look pretty okay. Let's look at 12 and 18 right at Park Street. Both sides seem to be rolling along okay. In fact, throughout much of Dane County, we are seeing a lot of green. In Sun Prairie, things look all right now. Traffic seems to be moving just fine. Bouncing down to the Beltline, a little bit of a delay as you get close to Seminole Highway on the eastbound side of the Beltline, and that delay is hit or miss all the way up to John Nolan Drive. Some spots where it gets a little slower and then speeds kind of pick up just a little more. Bouncing down towards Janesville, overall things look okay. A little construction downtown, but speeds seem to be fine along 39 as well as downtown. Overall, the weekend is going to be a little colder for us, and we may be talking about some flurries as we get closer to Christmas Day, but we'll take a closer look at that, guys, in just a few minutes.
You have a few wedding pictures to share with us coming up later?
Yes, I think we can show those off.
All right. Well, congratulations, Dana, and welcome back.
First at 4, a 23-week-long investigation into the deadly Sun Prairie explosion reveals no criminal responsibility.
The city's chief of police made the announcement at a news conference today. Our Keely Arthur was there and joins us live downtown with the very latest. Keely?
Well, it's been 4 months since that explosion leveled the building that was behind me and lit parts of the downtown area on fire. Today, the city's police chief answering the big question, is anyone to blame criminally? He says no. Take a look at this dash cam video released earlier today showing the moment of that July 10th explosion that killed Captain Corey Barr. Authorities say the gas leak and subsequent explosion was the result of severe miscommunication rather than criminal behavior between companies USIC, Bear Communications, Jet Underground, and VC Tech. USIC failed to mark a critical spot where fiber optic cables were being installed. A contractor with VC Tech then hit a gas line, leading to the explosion less than an hour later.
Prior to the explosion, conversations occurred between representatives of each of these companies, both on and off site, during which incomplete and inaccurate information was exchanged and relied upon.
There is no criminal case, as we have mentioned, but we spoke to several businesses who say they are contemplating pursuing a civil suit. Obviously, this is an incredibly tough time for the family of the fallen firefighter, Captain Corey Barr. Abby Barr telling me today she's not going to comment on these findings. She's also going to stay off all forms of media so as to not see and relive those horrific events.
Understandable. Keely Arthur reporting live from Sun Prairie. Keely, thank you.
A Marshall woman charged in connection to the death of a Sun Prairie man pled guilty today to hiding a corpse. 52-year-old Michelle Goss was charged in the death of Jesse Faber, who was fatally shot in January. Faber's body was allegedly wrapped in plastic and driven to a storage unit in Rio. His body was found there a few days later. 60-year-old Daniel Leski is also charged in the case. His trial begins in 2 weeks.
The threat of a government shutdown seemed over after the Senate passed a short-term funding bill last night. But today, President Trump told House Republicans he would not sign the bill without border wall funding. And now lawmakers are scrambling to come up with a deal before tomorrow night's deadline. Natalie Brand has more from Capitol Hill.
We're right in the middle of a sort of a meltdown on the part of the Republicans.
President Trump told House Republicans this afternoon he will not sign the Senate-passed short-term spending measure that would prevent a partial government shutdown. He insists any bill must have extra funding for border security, including a wall. After an hour-long meeting at the White House, GOP leaders say they will keep working on it.
So what we're going to do is go back to the House and work with our members. We want to keep the government open, but we also want to see an agreement that protects the border.
But Democratic leaders have already said funding for a border wall is a non-starter.
Democrats are not budging on the wall. We favor smart, effective border security, not a medieval wall.
Some House Republicans also want to add funding for disaster assistance to the spending bill. That's one area where there could be more common ground with Democrats.
We'll see what they come up with in terms of disaster assistance.
With the deadline just 1 day away, it's now unclear when the House will even vote on the measure.
There's no consensus right now on what the best way forward is, at least not among House Republicans.
Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
That's unclear.
The partial government shutdown will begin at midnight Friday unless the impasse is resolved. Republican leaders here at home say they plan to create their own state budget instead of using the one Governor-elect Evers proposes.
This comes as the incoming governor is traveling the state to hear what the public wants to see in the budget. Rose Schmidt tells us what you could see on next year's legislative agenda. Rose?
Well, Senate Majority Leader Scott Fitzgerald says he's assuming Republicans will outline their own budget priorities, but he isn't ruling out the possibility of working with Governor-elect Tony Evers. Fitzgerald told reporters he'd be open to cutting income taxes by 10% and accepting federal Medicaid expansion money, two of Governor-elect Evers' campaign promises. Democratic leader Representative Hintz is hopeful that Evers will help give his party more of a voice at the Capitol, but says stripping his power before being sworn in does not send a promising message heading into the new year.
I think that at some point, if we hit some of these areas that we think there's some common interest, that'll be the opportunity to kind of pull people in the room and say, okay, let's see if we can come up with some common goals here.
Well, it doesn't look like we're going to start off on the right foot. The actions taken by the Republicans in the last few weeks were undermine our democracy. They demonstrated contempt for the voters of Wisconsin, and it was really unprecedented.
Senator Fitzgerald says he does not support legalizing marijuana for medical use. That's something Speaker Robin Vos has been open to in the past. Evers previously told News 3 he supports medical marijuana, but would want public input on legalization for recreational use. The incoming governor will likely release his state budget sometime over the next 2 months, but Evers' office did not respond to my request for comment.
Rose, thank you.
The Justice Department has announced charges against 2 Chinese nationals they say were involved in an extensive hacking campaign. The 2 are said to have stolen the data on behalf of China's intelligence agency. Federal officials say they targeted more than 45 companies and agencies in at least 12 states, including NASA and the U.S. Department of Energy. The Badger football team plays a week from today in the Pinstripe Bowl in New York City.
And they will be without a key player. Sports director Jay Wilson is here.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, anytime you change quarterbacks, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
That happened today. The Badger football team will play Miami in the Pinstripe Bowl a week from today. And today, Paul Chryst confirms that Jack Cohn will be the Badger starting quarterback as Alex Hornibrook continues to deal with concussion symptoms. What's significant about that is that it'll be Cohn's 5th game of the year, meaning he won't be able to redshirt and thus save a year of eligibility. In any case, Cohn will get his 4th start of the season against the Hurricanes next Thursday. Here's the head coach on Hornibrook's health and Cohn's promotion.
You know, Alex did really participate in a couple weeks of the bowl practices, and then kind of had some reoccurring occurrences, and you know, going Jack. And one of the things that we talked about with Jack beginning of the season was that, you know, as he goes, and we wouldn't play him in kind of times when the game was decided. And, you know, every time that he's played, the game's been in the balance. And this is one more great opportunity for him and to be able to start.
And what about Alex Hornibrook, who a year ago was named the most valuable player of the Orange Bowl in that win over Miami? Concussions are scary things, and when asked about Hornibrook's big picture football future, Chryst or anyone doesn't have any great answers right now. And yeah, Alex Hornibrook actually practiced for a couple of weeks, hoping to play in the bowl game, but some of those concussion issues returned before Monday's practice, so he was held out. And right now, we just don't know what will happen from here with Alex Hornibrook.
That's very serious.
And don't mess with those concussions, whatever level you're playing.
But what an opportunity for Cohn. Incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you don't live for a moment like that, and this is his moment.
And the Badgers have won 4 straight bowl games, and why not make it a 5th, I guess?
And our Melissa Kim will be in New York at the
She will.
Pinstripe Bowl.
I can't handle that big city. So that scares the daylights out of me. So.
That'll be really fun. All right, Jay, thank you. Next on Live at 4, a Yemeni mother banned from this country is reunited with her dying son in California. The story about how that happened when we come back. A mother from Yemen who was at the center of a year-long legal battle for the right to see her dying son has been reunited with her child at a California hospital.
This reunion took place after a year-long battle to sidestep the Trump administration's travel ban. Shema Swila was greeted by her husband at the San Francisco airport. A few hours later, she had the boy in her arms at an Oakland hospital where he's been on life support for more than a month. Ali Hassan is a U.S. citizen, but his wife is from Yemen and had been blocked by President Trump's travel ban. The Council on American Islamic Relations sued to bring the family together, and on Tuesday, she was granted a visa to see her 2-year-old son, who is dying of a degenerative brain disorder.
This family desperately reached out to the U.S. Embassy in Cairo 28 times. 28 times. And despite their pleas, only received automated responses.
The mother's visa will allow her to remain in the U.S. with her husband and begin a path toward citizenship.
Stocks dropped again on Wall Street today as investors digested the rate increase proposed by the feds and doubts about a government shutdown. The Dow lost 464 points. The Nasdaq dropped 108 and the S&P 500 was down 39. Well, when you think of national television news correspondents, you likely don't think about Tourette's syndrome.
But CBS News' David Begnaud, who made a name for himself championing for the people of Puerto Rico through his tireless on-the-ground journalism in the aftermath of Hurricane Maria, recently revealed he struggled with debilitating Tourette's as a child.
Earlier this afternoon, Charlotte and I talked with David about that diagnosis when he was 6 years old and how it shaped his career. Can you tell us a little bit about what Tourette's syndrome is?
Yeah, so Tourette's is a neurological disorder. In many ways, it manifests itself in tics. So I'll tell you one of my tics. I twist my head to the right quite a bit. Sometimes I don't realize I'm doing it until my neck starts to hurt. I also have a tic with my tongue where I kind of dart it to the left and I make a vibrating noise as I'm doing it. And then I'll notice sometimes when we're editing stories, say for example for the CBS Evening News, when I'm in the edit bay, I will hear myself sniffing, not in, but actually out of my nose. Most of the time I don't know I'm doing it. Sometimes I do, but ladies, I've been living with this since I was a kid. I was first diagnosed at the age of 6.
What made you decide to share this personal story?
I didn't want to. I was given the commencement address at my college university in Louisiana, and the magazine wanted to do a cover story on me, and it was going to be a nice profile, but really no news, so to speak. And at the end of the interview with me, the writer asked for the number to one of my mentors, and he called my mentor, and one of the things she said to him is, you know, I'm really proud of David for overcoming Tourette's. And so, like any good journalist would do, he called me back and he said, listen, you don't have to talk about this if you don't want to, but I'd love to know more about your Tourette's. And I said, I don't like to talk about it. I don't talk about it a lot. But if we're going to go there, I want to hopefully help people by doing it. And I want you to promise me one thing. Don't sugarcoat how bad it was as a child, and don't over-dramatize it. There was plenty of drama there, and he gave me his word, and he kept his word. I wanted to do something that would help try and just minimize the stigma that people feel around Tourette's, and say to them that if it didn't stop me from achieving my dream of working at CBS News, which is exactly what happened, it does not have to stop you in any way.
Well, David, it is unbelievably inspiring to see where you are in your career and how you overcame this to become a national correspondent and a television journalist that you're a household name at this point. How were you able to do that with Tourette's?
It was really debilitating as a child, but I had 2 parents who never allowed me to use it as an excuse. As my interpersonal interactions were complicated by the tics that I had that made people look at me weird or judge me or ostracize me, my parents never let me feel sorry for myself. As it caused issues with being on the air, fearing, you know, I was worried that could I work at this level with having Tourette's? Would I tic on television? And come to find out, what usually happens is when I'm on television, no one ever sees me ticking. For whatever reason, it doesn't happen. When I get off the air, sometimes I will. But also, I don't know. I sometimes, when I think back to my own story, I ask myself how I got past childhood, because that was the most debilitating time. When kids didn't have a label or an explanation for why I was having those little tics, they were ruthless. And that's why I want to say to parents and kids, it gets better. I can promise you, it gets better.
David, what are the biggest misconceptions the public has about Tourette's syndrome?
Everyone might assume that someone with Tourette's throws their arms in the air and curses. And there are cases like that. I don't want to minimize this. I don't want to dramatize it. My case is more mild. But the misconceptions often are the person will walk down the hall and yell or kind of hit things. Those are severe cases, and those are cases that we need to be mindful of and we need to talk about. And we need to know that those people are not weird. Those people have conditions. By the way, Tourette's is not life-threatening, life-altering, maybe life-debilitating, but it's not life-threatening, right? And so that's one of the biggest misconceptions, I think, is that a lot of people have very mild cases. Look, 3 people here at CBS News have come forward to me and said, I have Tourette's. And I would have never known they had Tourette's. And I didn't know until I felt comfortable sharing my own story. And through that, I've been overwhelmed with the response from parents and patients across the country who have reached out to me.
Well, you can get through anything in life as long as you know you're not alone, right?
Oh, yeah.
So sharing
Amen.
your story is very important, and continued success in all you do, David. Great to have an opportunity to talk to you today.
Ladies, thank you. Happy holidays.
And to you as well.
To you.
He is so brave, and he is going to help so many people by talking about this.
I know. It's very liberating, I'm sure, to share his story like that.
And
so
his work in Puerto Rico has been incredible, and that's ongoing as well. You can see that at cbsnews.com.
Facebook like him. There is more at 4.
When we come back, a peek at some wedding pictures. That's coming up after Dana's forecast.
Take a look at this. You are watching Russian performing artists, the Kalutsa brothers. The incredible precision, balance, and movement are really mesmerizing to watch. Somehow, the man balancing his brother on his head manages to drop down from a standing position to the splits and back up to a standing position once again. The famous duo is a multiple Guinness World Record holder and former Cirque du Soleil artist.
That is amazing.
That's incredible. Wow, that's trust.
It's a lot of trust. Well, from take a look at this to take a look at these, we've got some wedding pictures to share. Dana, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you.
How was your wedding?
Beautiful, absolutely delightful the whole weekend. We kind of made it a big weekend trip. So this is
like magazine business here. My goodness.
Our photographer nailed it. So that's my husband, which I just got tripped up calling him my fiance, Jared. We went to Western North Carolina, which was quite a travel distance for both of our families. That area, as you can see right now, not full of snow, but a week and a half ago had over 2 feet of snow.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we got very, very lucky. Everything kind of melted and cleared out. No travel problems for any of us. We did have to break out the 4-wheel drive on the truck, but otherwise getting into the mountains was just fantastic. The dance floor was full all night. Everyone behaved. Everyone was so sweet. It's nice to be back home, though, I think, just to settle back in and get things reorganized.
Well, congratulations, and like I said, we need to see more pictures.
Thank you. Yes, yes, we'll get more photos out there. Right now, I do, of course, want to talk a little bit about a traffic situation on the Beltline. 12 westbound, right at Fish Hatchery Road. All lanes are blocked on the westbound side because of an accident there right at Fish Hatchery Road. We're going to talk about that cloudy forecast, though, right after the break. It was a little cloudy outside today, which isn't ideal, but with temperatures in the low 40s for the middle of December, I guess we can't complain too much. Right now, looking at our Doppler track, we do have a little bit of light snow, what it looks like near the La Crosse area. Also seeing some showers in northern Illinois, which are starting to cross the border a little bit, moving into Rock County. And we do have what looks like the potential for a few little isolated flurries for us in Dane County. Whether or not that's actually making it all the way to the ground, again, that's the big question mark. But our radar is picking up just a little bit of moisture right now. It looks like just south of Madison. Otherwise, fairly calm. Just a little cloudy. We have this front slowly swinging on through. That cold front is going to stay mostly to the north for us. Otherwise, just cloudy throughout Wisconsin for us today. We're going to stay a little cloudy overnight. Things might break up a little more for us as we head into the weekend. The big thing, though, for the weekend, we are expecting quite a cool down as we head into Friday and then Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures aren't going to stay nearly as warm or quite as above average as we saw today. So again, cloudy for us overnight. Temperatures will fall just a little bit into the upper 20s as we get into Friday morning. Throughout the day on Friday, plan on variable cloudiness. We might actually start to get a little bit of clearing later on in the evening. Not a whole lot, though. Partly cloudy sky heading into Saturday morning. Saturday, there's a little bit of a chance for us in the afternoon to maybe see a few isolated flurries, but not a big snow chance. Then those clouds build back in late in the evening on Saturday, and as we head into Sunday, do plan on the clouds kind of hanging around with us. Unfortunately, not a lot of sunshine. But the main focus for the forecast, the next few days, we want to get through the weekend, but then, of course, Christmas knocking on the door. Heading into Monday morning, plan on some clouds by later in the evening on Monday. Not expecting much snow, but we may see a few light flurries coming in, just a light chance for us for a Monday night into Tuesday morning. So Santa definitely may need Rudolph heading into Christmas. Overall, throughout the day for Christmas, we're not expecting any of that moisture. It's just early in the morning. And then throughout the afternoon, we might actually get a little more sunshine compared to what we've had for the last few days. Overall, temperatures for Christmas Day will be close to freezing. We're looking at a high of about 32 to pop on up for us with that morning flurry chance. Overall, it should be a fairly pleasant Christmas, especially when we bounce back over the last several years. Last year, we saw highs close to 15, so it's going to be much closer to average this year. And then looking back beyond 2017, we had quite a stretch there, 3 years in a row of temperatures being above average. But to be close to 30, really where we should be for Christmas. Not expecting, again, any snowfall or rain amounts for us. 2013, 2 inches of snow. Not the plan for next Tuesday. Looking ahead to the next 6 to 10 days, the southeast, if you're traveling for Christmas, likely going to stay above average. Then we are expecting that trend to slowly shift away for us. For that 8 to 14 day, it looks like for us in Wisconsin, we'll start to settle back down again. Instead of likely that will be close to or above average, we'll be a little closer to average to wrap up the year heading into January already. Welcome to 2019. Downtown, very pleasant right now, just a little cloudy outside. Again, we did hit a high of 42 degrees today, and we should have been in the upper 20s. Sunset already passed at 4:25 for us. Overnight, we'll fall close to about 28. That rain chance right now, those isolated showers that we've been seeing, totally wrapping up. It is going to be a little breezy for us overnight, though, anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, planning on breezy conditions yet again. May even see some gusts over 20 miles per hour, so keep that in mind for your Friday plans. Temperature-wise, we'll be in the mid-30s, so a drop from where we were at today, and crossing our fingers that we'll see just a little bit of sunshine later on, with that sky potentially clearing on up for us. Overall, the weekend stays a little cooler, temps in the low 30s, which is still above average, but that trend again carries us into Christmas Eve and Christmas Day in the low 30s, with a chance for some flurries overnight Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. And your Christmas Day plans, if you do need to send the little ones outside for a little bit, they should be just fine. We'll be in the low 30s, but we'll see some sunshine later on in the day, which is a perfect Christmas forecast.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, thanks, Dana.
So this just in, President Trump says Defense Secretary James Mattis will be retiring at the end of February, and a new chief will be named shortly. We will have more on this on News 3 at 5.
But when we come back, what's happening this weekend in the 608?
We'll have that coming up next.
There's a live picture downtown Madison on this Thursday afternoon. It's Thursday. The weekend is almost here in the 608.
And here with what's going on around the area is Madison Magazine Associate Editor Joel Patnow.
Hi, Joel. Good to see you.
You too. Thanks.
So we're going to start with some music for the weekend.
Yeah. Tomorrow night at the Alliant Energy Center is gospel carols. Now, this is the 9th year for gospel carols. It's exactly what you'd expect, a spiritual celebration of the season. Several area churches form the choir, and musicians from the Madison Symphony Orchestra accompany them for a full program of Christmas music. And the arrangements are done by Leotha and Tamara Stanley. And besides that, they apparently have a new song that they'll be premiering at the event too. So that's tomorrow night.
So, you know, there's always those last-minute Christmas shoppers, plenty of them, but there is a great place for them to go to.
Yeah, myself included. Yeah, Winter Wonderland is a collaboration between Madison Makers Market and Commonwealth Development. They will be gathering some, or they have been, in fact, since Tuesday, artists of crafts and artwork, and 25% of the proceeds from the sale of the products go toward local causes, charities, including Commonwealth, which provides affordable housing, space for small businesses, and job training. So there will also be music, food, drink, silent auctions, and door prizes. And this is at Commonwealth Development on Baldwin Street between East Washington and Willie.
All right, that's great. There's some good family-friendly shows this weekend as well.
Yeah, some pretty funny stuff too. First of all, Star Wars, The Panto Strikes Back, is the latest in a series of Bartell Theater-hosted parodies of pop culture. I took my kids to the Harry Potter one last year about this time, but this Star Wars themed one promises just as goofy humor, silly songs, and opportunities for cheering the heroes and booing the baddies. So that's this Friday and Saturday nights, and also matinees on Saturday and Sunday, and it's also playing the following weekend.
And there's also a musical comedy at the Barrymore.
Yes, it's hard to believe, but if you've ever seen Guys on Ice, this is the 20th anniversary. Wow. It's just amazing. This is the fishing shanty set story, musical comedy, I should say, that started at the American Folklore Theater in Door County in 1998. It revolves around the ice fishing buddies of Marvin and Lloyd, who sing about fish as the miracle food and snowmobile suits as the pinnacle of fashion. So for 20 years now, they've been playing in Madison, Milwaukee, and Green Bay, and they've even taken it to Oregon, California, and New York. There are several shows this weekend at the Barrymore, as well as the following weekend.
It's very funny.
It is hilarious.
Good to get a good laugh this weekend. All right, Joel, lots going on, lots of choices. Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Have a good weekend, and you can read all about it in the current issue of Madison Magazine.
When we come back, this is a tough week for fans of Magic 98.
Yeah, a mainstay in Madison who's been entertaining and informing listeners for 35 years is about to sign off. A conversation with Magic 98's Pat O'Neill when Live at 4 continues.
How deep and personal this is for us. So don't ever fight that. Let it go.
So our primary focus right now is traffic, looking at Park Street. We do have an accident right now at 12 and Park Street. The traffic guys actually continue to switch the camera for us, trying to get a better look. It seems like as this gets readjusted, things are moving on the Beltline right now. Looks like we're getting traffic going just a little bit. So here's where we're talking about 12 westbound right at Park Street. Up until just a few seconds ago, all lanes were blocked. But from what we just saw in the camera angle, it does look like the lanes are open at this time. Regardless, traffic is backed up for miles, stretching all the way back through John Nolan towards 90. Traffic's delayed quite a bit. It said it could take up to about an hour. That's from our DOT emails. Could take up to about an hour for the westbound side to completely clear out because it's backed up so much right now. Even on the eastbound side up to the accident, also pretty delayed. Looking down towards Verona right now, a little bit of a delay there on 151 heading away from downtown. Main Street, though, looks fairly okay for us. And then in Janesville right now, we're not seeing any major delays, just the usual traffic downtown for us at this time.
All right, Dana, thank you. This week marks the end of an era in Madison morning radio.
For 35 years, Pat O'Neill has been behind the mic at Midwest Family Broadcasting's Magic 98. Tomorrow is his last day on the air. We met Pat at the studio yesterday as he's getting ready to leave Magic and Madison for a new opportunity. Does it feel emotional walking the halls? Are you trying to savor every last minute of this? Yeah. So this is your studio.
Here it is, the magic of Madison. We're staring at a screen that tells us all the songs we have, and then the phone rings constantly here with Ginger Martin fans. And we're always looking at traffic and weather, and we're ready to record a phone call if a listener checks in with us.
So a lot more goes on behind the scenes than people realize. It's a lot more than just talking into a mic.
A 3-hour morning radio show feels like 20 minutes have gone by. It's so busy.
So Pat, say it isn't so. You're really
It
leaving...
isn't so. There you go.
You're leaving Madison. Tell me a little bit about this decision that you've made.
I didn't expect to. I got a phone call from a radio station owner a couple of months ago. At night, in my living room, I thought, I want to talk to this person. I'm going to look into this. My wife gave me a funny look. We've been here a long time. The more I looked at this, the more sense it made.
So it came to you.
It came to me.
Didn't seek it out.
No.
And it was just an offer that was too good to refuse?
I don't mean to be so mysterious about where it is, but secrecy is big in broadcasting, as you know. And once I can say where I'm going, I think it will make a lot of sense to people.
But you're leaving Madison.
Leaving Madison, leaving Wisconsin.
And leaving Magic 98. How are you feeling about that after 35 years?
I love the people I work with. I love the listeners in the morning. I've heard nothing but wonderful things from them in emails, phone calls, cards. That will be tough. I have something special planned for Friday morning at about 8 o'clock. I'm going to keep my Slim Whitman CD nearby in case we need a little relief from the tension. I don't want it to be sad.
How did this journey begin?
What brought me to the station is being a Madison kid, listening to Jonathan Little and Charlie Simon on WISM, and thinking that's got to be a great way to make a living, being on the radio. To this day, those guys are pals of mine, heroes of mine. In fact, there's a picture of them. The WISM staff of the 1970s were stars. That's in an era when people would show up at the mall, hundreds of people, to go to the jewelers to watch Jonathan Little broadcast. I just thought that was the coolest way to make a living. I got interested in radio as a teenager, started working as a teenager, and that's all I've ever done. I got a phone call in the summer of '83 from the people that decided that Madison needed a station like Magic 98, and that intrigued me then. They said, this is not going to be a typical radio station. We're going to have people on the air that connect with listeners. We want you to think of the listener as a friend. I think we did a lot of zany radio things in the early days. I've got the pictures to prove it, but over time, that zaniness, I think, kind of faded away. In a deeper connection, I think, is what developed with our listeners.
Look at this pile of emails This is the reaction from listeners since you made your announcement. What has it been like reading these?
It's been unbelievable because people remember things that happened so many years ago that I couldn't possibly remember. Often they're recalling something I do remember. But you know, in the day-to-day, you do the radio show, you answer the phone, you answer an email, 9 o'clock arrives, you move on to the rest of the day. And what I had forgotten was that cumulative effect. And so these have hit me big time. This has been an emotional time. I'm so grateful that people remember things that have happened.
Well, some of these letters are deep and very impactful. Right on the top here, a woman wrote, 2 days before Christmas, my first husband left me and our 2 children. One night, I thought I would just find a radio station to keep me company. Magic 98 has been my station since, and you have been my companion, my true north. I'm going to cry. I can barely read this without crying. I can't even imagine how that must make you feel.
I don't know the word, gratifying comes to mind. A woman called me a year and a half ago on St. Patrick's Day. She said, my dad used to like this old Irish song. Could you play it? I said to her, my dad used to like an old Irish song. I happen to have a Bing Crosby Irish song CD here. Let's play a song for our dads. This woman wrote me back later that day to say thanks and how meaningful it was for her. She wrote me just a few days ago. She'll never forget it. I'll never forget it.
What are you going to miss the most, do you think?
It's hard to describe that after all these years, I get nervous before I'm going to go on the air. That special time of 5 in the morning, I'm thinking about how much fun the day is going to be. Lynette Hanson's going to be fun. The phone will ring. Listeners will have a good time, hopefully. That I will miss, and that special connection with Madison. This is my town. I was born here, pretty much raised here. It's tough to leave. I think I have one great last radio adventure, and I'm going after it.
This is a great opportunity for you to say anything you'd like to say to all of the people who have listened to you over the years. It's hard to imagine mornings without you, Pat. It really, I think it's personal for a lot of people. It's like losing a good friend.
I've loved every minute of it. It's been an honor. There are no listeners like Magic 98 listeners. I'm going to miss them all.
Pat promises to let everyone know where he ends up as soon as he can, and names that you all know, Lynette Hanson and Ginger Martin, and they're all going to be filling in and taking over.
Pat, you will be missed.
Yeah, boy, that's for sure. Thank you so much, Pat. We'll be right back.
Dana's here with the final check of your forecast.
So plan on a cloudy sky through the rest of the evening. Right now we do have a few little isolated flurry spots, but things will be wrapping up over the next few hours as temperatures fall overnight into the upper 20s to start off our Friday. Friday cloudy again, but we may see a little bit of sunshine right at the end of the afternoon. Not banking on too much of it though, unfortunately. And temperature-wise, we are cooling down as we head into the weekend. Today low 40s, tomorrow mid 30s. So still above average, but you'll definitely notice how much cooler it is.
All right. Thank you, Dana. We'll be right back.